welcome to another episode of the Knit, Knot, and Weave podcast. My name is Dorothy. I'm also known as Phelia on Ravelry, Pheelya, or you can find me on Instagram as Knit, Knot, and Weave. I'm coming to you from Columbia, Maryland. Columbia is pretty much halfway between Baltimore and DC, Washington, DC. I know it has been a while. My summer did not go as I had anticipated. Apparently heat exhaustion is a real thing and you can get it without even being in the sun. I mean, I know I'm susceptible to heat, especially when I'm out in the sun. I just didn't realize it affects me just the same when I'm indoors. And I will talk more about that later when we get into life stuff. But I was participating in summer sock camp, and you guys have seen most of the socks that I've knit in my previous episode. I do have one more pair to share with you guys today. I was also participating in Lisa from Knit All the Yarns podcast. She was doing a Felici knit along, so some of my socks were sort of double dipped because they were made with Felici yarn. So this is just my little corner of the YouTube where I talk about all my love of fiber related arts, mostly knitting, some crocheting, some weaving, some yarn dyeing. There could occasionally be other things depending upon what crafty rabbit hole I go down, but mostly it's yarny stuff. So without further ado, let's get into FOs, because I do have a few FOs to share with you. After all, I have been gone for, 6 weeks since my last podcast, I think. Yikes. Not what I had planned, guys. Really, not what I had planned. But anyway, over the summer, along with participating in summer sock camp and Knit All the Felici, I was participating and still am participating in the Across the Pond Shawl Knit Along, run by Ruth from Ruth Loves to Knit podcast and Fernanda from Little Monkeys and Me podcast. Fernanda is running, she has a Ravelry group, and she is running the shawl along from the Ravelry group, and Ruth is running the shawl along from the Instagram. So first up, I have what's called the Mindfulness Shawl. This was a shawl that Ruth had recommended in one of her podcasts where she was talking all about shawls. And it looked like a really simple knit, used DK weight yarn, except I use sport weight. The pattern is not on Ravelry, so I will put a link to the pattern below in the description box. It is a paid for pattern, but it's a very easy pattern. It's definitely the mindfulness shawl. It's a simple asymmetrical shawl, knit and garter stitch. But what I really like is that beautiful picot edge, and it's really not that hard to do, especially in a thicker weight yarn. But I used Malabrigo Arroyos, and this is the colorway in Indecita, if I'm saying that correctly. It's been in my stash for a while. I used about 1.5 skeins for it. I'm actually getting ready to start a second one, and I might go a little bit longer, but I didn't want to make it too deep because it's not really meant to be a deep shawl. It's really meant to be more of like a scarflet that you could wear as an accent piece with an outfit, or you could wear it under a coat in the winter time to keep your neck warm. So I really like this shawl. I love the colors to it. My friend Ellen had made a shawl out of this yarn in this colorway, and I absolutely loved it. And so I finally made a shawl for myself out of it. Next up are a pair of socks. Again, they were knit for summer sock camp. And Knit All the Felici. These are Felici fingering weight. The colorway is Beatnik. I only had one skein of this colorway, which is why they are shorties. But I can get a pair of shorties as long as I use a coordinating color for toes and heels. So that's what I did. I had some leftover black in my stash, and I did rounded toes, and I do toe up socks 2 at a time, shadow wrap heel. Because Felici is a bit thinner than some of the hand dyed yarns I use, I do go down in needle size. So these were knit on a 0 or a 2.0 millimeter needle, and they were 68 stitches around. So it's a little bit of a tighter gauge, but I really like how Felici looks on the tighter gauge. So I think this might be pair 9 or 10 from Summer Sock Camp. I'll put it up here if I figure it out while I'm editing. This was also the first time I did a rolled cuff, which was really fun. So I managed to use up the beatnik until it was completely gone, and then did a stretchy bind off so I can get them around my big feet. And I have no Felici left from this. So that was fun. It's always good to use up all the yarn. And it is super hot here, so I need to take this off. One thing I hate about menopause, or rather post-menopause, let me tell you, that shit's for the birds. You know, women have enough health problems. They have to go through menopause too for years. Anyway, the next shawl that I did knit for the Across the Pond Knit Along was the Irina Shawl. I still need to block it, but this was made with 1 skein of Miss Babs Woodbury. It's one of her newer bases. It's a merino and tussa silk base. I believe it is 65% merino, 35% tussa silk. This was knit on a US size 4 or 3.5 millimeter. And this is all I had left. So I literally went until I had no more. And when I realized I was running low, I just made 1 more stitch of an eyelet row as a nice border bind off, and then bound it off. I think I usually do the Russian bind off, which is the knit 2, then you slide them back, and then you knit 2 together through the back loop, and you keep going all the way around. So although yellow is not really my color, this will probably go in the gift box for someone, or maybe it'll be a Christmas gift for somebody. But it needs to be blocked. I'm hoping with this much silk, it'll get a little softer and drapier after I block it. This is the first time I'm using Miss Babs Woodbury. So have you knit with Woodbury? Do you like it? It's kind of nice. So again, that was the Irina Shawl. And then my last shawl to show you was just something I had made a soft waves blanket with a whole bunch of Cascade 220 superwash, and I had a lot of colors left over, some half skeins, some almost full skeins. So I just sort of cast it on and decided I was going to make myself just a shawl that I could throw over my shoulders and wear around the house in the winter time. So I did a simple tab, starter, and knit. And then I just tried out different stitches when I switched yarns. Like here I did some striping, and then here I did some slip stitching. Here I did a yarn over, knit 2 together, exchange. This was a linen stitch. And then I just sort of, these colors sort of made me think of the Cheshire Cat. So I did some striping like the Cheshire Cat. And then I did a, what is this? It looks like a 3x1 ribbed bind off until I had no more of this blue. But it's a nice big shawl. It'll probably grow a little bit more when I block it, but I figure it'll keep me warm My couch is situated right in front of my big picture window in my living room, and so I tend to get a draft. So this will be nice to just sort of keep over my shoulders and keep the draft from getting to me. But it was an enjoyable knit. Nothing difficult. You know, when you've knit enough shawls, enough triangle shawls, you just sort of know. You pick up on the edge, you pick up at the center, or you make a stitch in the center. But it's nice and big, and it'll be nice and warm when it gets cold here. According to some friends, the Farmer's Almanac says it's going to be a cold winter, so I will be prepared. The last finished object I have are just some scrubbies. I got this idea from Quilla from the Lefty Knitter podcast. I used scrubby yarn from Red Heart. This is the solid color, which has 92 yards. So out of one skein of a solid color, I managed to get 6 scrubbies. So I've never used this yarn before, but Aquila seems to think it's great for scrubbing dishes and stuff. So my family loves my dishcloths. I figured I'd make some scrubbies for them to try out as well. When you go to a printed skein or a multicolor skein of their Red Heart, I forgot to save the wrap, but I think the multicolored wraps only, the multicolored yarn of scrubby only gives you like 72 yards. So I was only able to get 4 scrubbies out of the multicolor yarn. And then when I was in Joann's, I thought for shits and giggles, I'd pick up some Scrubby Sparkle. And this one has 174 skeins. And this is the one that you can, pretty sure you could see that really kind of crispy, fibery, not fiber, plasticky stuff. And I made 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10 out of this skein. One I doubled up and made it like a real scrubby pad. I just made 2 and then I single crocheted all the way around. And then this was my last one that I made, and this was all the yarn that I had left. I used a size I hook, which is a 4.5 millimeter, I believe. No, 4.5 is a size. I don't remember. I think it's a 5.5 or a 6 maybe. Anyway, it's a US size I hook that I used on all of these. And I'll be giving one of each to my sisters and my mom for them to give me feedback on which ones they liked best. So, some more scrubbies. And that is all I have for finished objects. I know. I've been away for 6.5 weeks and that's all I have. But what happened over the summer is, I can't remember if I had mentioned in my last podcast that I was going to be working at my school over the summer. For those of you that don't know, I am a high school media specialist. And I offered my tutoring services for a grant that we were running to try and catch kids up and get some of our seniors graduated that didn't make it for June. And the first day of work, they were, workmen were working on our air conditioning system because some of the units went out, and they did something and zapped or short-circuited the whole system, so the whole school was out of AC. Yes, leave it to my school system. And so they continued to have summer school. We were in the media center. We had a ton of fans around, but again, when you're blowing around hot air, it's still hot. And I did not realize that you could get heat exhaustion being in that kind of indoor climate. I really thought heat exhaustion was more of a connection, like in addition to the heat and sweating, but also being out in the sun, direct sunlight. But obviously that is not the case. And so I'd be working half a day and I would come home absolutely exhausted, and I would take a nap, and I don't mean like a 20 or 30-minute nap. I'm talking about I was knocked out for like an hour or two every afternoon when I got home. And then I was still going to bed early and sleeping through the night. So I didn't get a whole lot of knitting finished. Or rather, a whole lot of projects finished. But I did have a serious case of startitis. I think my ADHD really kicked in when all of this was going on, and I couldn't stay focused on one project. So I have just a small little pile of brand new projects to show you. ADHD is real, folks. So I have a pile of whips that we'll be going through. And then I have some future knits that I have planned, along with getting ready to start knitting my Christmas gifts, or making my Christmas gifts. Some are knit, some are crochet. And then I have a bit of acquisitions that I've made over the last few weeks to share with you guys. So we are going to move on to whips. My first whip is one that I have been dying to cast on for a while. It's the Allura Shawl, and it's a combination of knitting and crocheting. So this is all knit, and then this edging here is crocheted. And so I used a skein of my hand dyed. And I'm almost finished. So this is going to be my Valentine's Day shawl. I'm starting on the crochet edging now. I had to make a minor modification because I am a left-handed crocheter. So it would appear that when you finish the shawl, when you finish knitting the shawl, you're at the edge here. And for someone who crochets right-handed, they'd be crocheting down the shawl this way on the right side. But I'm left-handed, and so I would be crocheting backwards if I did that. So in order to adjust for that, I just did a simple single crochet all the way down to the edge here, and then I turned around and started the pattern to go back. One thing I do when I crochet is I don't really like the chain, you know, when you have to chain 2 or chain 3 to make up the half double or the double crochet. I like to do a no chain start, and that's where you can do an actual double crochet as the first stitch. I don't have to do the chain 3. And if you guys want a tutorial on that, let me know. I'll see about trying to do that. And then whenever I stop with crochet, I always put in one of these locking stitch markers so that I can't lose any more stitches. But so this should hopefully be finished, hopefully tonight, and you'll get to see it all done and blocked in the next podcast. But the base is merino silk cashmere. It's one that I dyed myself. And then the edging is leftover that I had in my stash. I think it was a Malabrigo that I had over dyed a little with black for a Halloween shawl I had made about 2 or 3 years ago. But it turned out perfectly. Otherwise I was going to use black. But my girlfriend Kit suggested a dark red. and I think I really like it. So, and this was knit with a 4mm circular needle, which is a size 5 or 6. 4mm, I think 5. And then it suggested, usually when I do a crocheting around my knitting, I use a crochet hook that's the same size. I'm sorry, yes. Usually I use a crochet hook that's the same size millimeter wise to the needle I used, but this pattern called to go one size down. So I went ahead and went with the pattern and just made sure, probably because it's fingering weight yard, made sure my stitches, my first row was a little bit looser so that I didn't tighten the stitches up too much, and I'll be able to block it nicely. So, looking forward to having this one finished. And this is in a project bag that my friend Georgie made for me. It's one of those little Japanese sacks that you can wear around your wrist. Of course, in my favorite skulls. I'm a skull person. Next up is my weekender. I finally finished the main body of it. And I did do a fade up. So I started with, these were all skeins I had in my stash. I started with Malabrigo and Pines. Then went up to, oh geez, there was a couple of different ones I used. There's Pines. Then I used Aguas, and then I moved up to Chris, which is up here. So for the arms, I'm going to start with Chris and work my way back down. And I haven't decided, I'm not sure I'm going to make it a long sleeve sweater. Currently, with the way my body temperature is running due to, like I said, post-menopause, I think I might die if I wore a worsted weight sweater. But we'll see. But so hopefully this will be done by my next podcast. I had planned actually to have about 5 different colors in here, but doing the sweater bottom up, I misjudged how much to use for the Pines and then wound up running out of space. But that's okay, because now I can knit something top down with the other ones, right? And this is just in a lovely basket I got at a Christmas swap. I love it. Next up is a muscle Bur Hat that I started. I started this with, this is Jitterbug yarn. And I really love how it's turning out, except it's starting to get to the point where it's doing some flashing or pooling. I did go up a needle size. I had started this on a size 3, and because Jitterbug is really more of a heavy fingering, almost a sport weight, I took it all out. It was just too tight. It felt like I was making a helmet for somebody. And I went up to a size 6 needle, and I'm liking it much better. And plus, when it's doubled, it'll be really warm. This is great knitting. I bring these to my school meetings because I can just knit away, keep my hands busy while I'm listening. I think it's funny how it starts off going all over the place, but then eventually it goes into pooling, and now I think I'm starting to get to areas that it might go back the other way. At least I hope so. If not, it'll be a neat 2-sided hat, right? These are A.D.D Rocket squared needles. These feel a little bit nicer on my hands. They are square needles, and they have these little like divots here to sort of give you a good grip when you're using them. I have the yarn in my little Knitting Notions yarn condom, I call these. And then my project bag is a Delicue project bag where it says Naughty Knitter. That's me. And then I have just some simple light bulb stitch markers, but my beginning of the round is a turtle stitch marker that I got from my friend Melissa. Starting to get warm in here. I may have to put my hair up soon. Of course, it could also be from the beer. Next up, this is a project bag that I made years ago. A yarn dyer fresh from the cauldron was doing a yarn club with Alice in Wonderland, and I had some Alice in Wonderland fabric, so I made project bags to go with the club that people could purchase. And I don't know why, but I really wanted to try my hand at knitting a mohair sweater. I have no idea if I can wear mohair. I know I can't wear 100% mohair, and I can't wear fake mohair because that stuff just itches me like crazy. But so far, this doesn't seem to be bothering me. And they say that your most sensitive part is the inside of your forearm. And so if you can stand to have the yarn there, you should be okay. And so far, this doesn't bother me, but this is this Drops? Yes, it's Drops Kids Silk Mohair, which is 70% mohair, 30% silk. I know there are some companies that have different varieties of mohair where they have a little less mohair and a little more silk. I'm actually thinking of trying some of those in the future. But I've decided to cast on the Ghost Whisperer. I thought this would be a cute shirt that I could wear in the wintertime, because I never know what the heat is going to do in my office or in my media center. Currently, although the AC in most of the building managed to get fixed, we still have a unit, of course, in the media center that is out, and we have been waiting on a part to get delivered, I want to say since April. But this is the Ghost Whisperer. It's made with all mohair. I really liked the sleeves on this. And I am thinking of making a second one in a different color. And I made this one a little bit longer because I definitely don't have the nice pretty belly to show. But I'm thinking of doing something a little bit different at the bottom of the next one. But we'll see how this one works out first. So this is an $8 pattern. This is on Ravelry. The designer is Park Williams. And this pattern goes from an extra small to a 5X. So it's very size inclusive. And this is all the main body. It's pretty much one skein of Drops Kids Silk Haze. And I have to get ready to attach a second skein and keep moving on it. But hopefully this will be done soon and we can see if I can last in a mohair sweater. But I thought it would be nice if I wanted to wear maybe some of my summer dresses that are tank tops, and then be able to just sort of throw this over it and have it keep me warm without being too overly hot, since it is kind of airy. So we'll see how that works out. I am enjoying knitting this. The pattern is pretty easy, pretty straightforward. It is knit bottom up. For those of you that are looking at you know, whether you knit bottom up or top down sweaters. This is only the second sweater I've knit bottom up, the Weekender being the first. I have not knit a whole lot of sweaters, but most of the sweaters that I have knit have been top down. I have knit one sweater in pieces. This was years and years ago. I was not a big fan of it, but then again, I was also much, much bigger than I am now. So I could feel differently if I ever find something that I want to knit again. So I am hoping to have this one finished before the winter. I don't want to say by the next podcast, because I think I've already said that to 2 projects. Okay, let's see. Oh, I do have some socks on the needles. They are in my Toad Hollow bag. Yes, I'm a big witchy person. So I don't know why I keep all of I have 3 different pairs of socks going in here. I don't know why I have them all in one bag. I just do, and I randomly grab them out when I want to knit them. So I have another skein of Felici started. This is, the colorway is Bayou. And again, it's toe up, 2 at a time. I did use more of the black yarn for the toes, and I'll use it for the heels since I only have the 1 skein. Again, these are the A.D.D Rocket squared needles. I really like these for when I'm doing socks. I feel like I have a better grip, and ever since I had trigger finger in my ring finger, I'm always very cautious. I feel like when I started knitting socks again, I was knitting them way too, I'm a very tight sock knitter, and I think it's because I think it's because of the way I knit on 2 at a time on magic loop. Blah. I can't speak today. And I think that's what triggered my trigger finger. Ha ha ha. But I've been feeling it act up a little lately, so I try to be very cautious and stretch it, because the last thing I want is another cortisone shot. And then my second pair is on Bumblebee Acres. It's their Coquette sock, which is 75% Cordale and 25% nylon. And this is in their Game of Thrones colorway, which I'm really liking. This is definitely a heavier weight sock than the Felici. So I believe these are too many. So yes, my Felicis are being knit on a US 0, so that's a 2.0 millimeter. And the Coquette socks are being knit on a US, doesn't say, but it's the 2.25 millimeter. So I think that's going to be a nice sturdy sock. And then the last sock I have is from Yarnhige? I don't know. It's a relatively inexpensive yarn that I always manage to find at Maryland Sheep and Wool. The colorway is called Peacock, and it's got turquoises, maroons, some dark golds, really pretty. It is definitely a much thicker yarn than even the Coquette base. I'm starting to wonder if this is maybe more of a sport weight sock. So we'll see. I may wind up taking these out and having to go up a needle size, but go down in stitches, because this feels awfully thick. But I do love the color. And again, rounded toes, 2 at a time, toe up. And since it's getting ready to be gift giving season, Christmas season, these are probably not going to get done as fast as I would like. So these might be a while before they get finished because I have some serious gift knitting to do. Next up is a shawl that I started for my aunt, my Zia. She turned 70 this year, and this is her Christmas gift. I'm sorry, not her Christmas gift, her birthday gift. So I'm just sort of making up the pattern as I go. It's going to be an asymmetrical shawl with yarn overs. And I'm using a skein of Expression Fiber Arts. The colorway is called the Raven, and it's her pearlescent fingering, which is 50% superwash merino, 50% mulberry silk, and it's a 550 yard skein. And I'm holding it double with Pearl Sohos. I don't know the name of this. Oh, they're Tussocks, which is a 60% mohair and 40% silk in the colorway Cerulean Silk. And I think they come together nicely in this. And I'll probably go, I have a second skein. I can speak today. Oh my goodness. I have a second skein of this mohair in case I run out, since this is only a 328 yards, but I have 550 yards of this. And then I'm thinking of doing an edging, maybe a crochet edging, I don't know. But I found this in my yarn stash. It is Neighborhood Fibers 100% silk. And I thought this went really well. Well, it goes kind of really well with the mohair. But then I've also got a lighter, I don't know why I have, believe it or not, this is the same, supposedly the same colorway, but I guess that's what happens with two different dye batches. Might do some sort of a crochet edging on this one as well. My aunt looks very good in royal blue, so I hope she likes it. But this is the first time I'm using this 50/50 from Expressions Fiber Arts, and I do like it. It gets a little fluffy, and I will say I do like this mohair. I like that it's got more silk content than the Drops mohair silk that I'm using for the Ghost Whisper. So I might make another Ghost Whisper out of this, and I'll show you what color I bought for that. I know, I'm bad. Are you guys doing any gift knitting? Getting ready for the holidays? Getting ready to start anything for your family or your kids or your nieces or grandkids or whomever? I'm always curious. Do you have knitworthy families? I certainly do. And I think, sometimes I think that could be, it's a great compliment, and at the same time, it can be a burden. And I say that because every time, well, for those of you that don't know, I picked up knitting and crocheting from my nonna. She passed away a number of years ago, but so everybody in my family has a crocheted edging that they get as a wedding gift that was, you know, made by my grandmother. And so they all understand what goes into it. They all, from my cousins on down, on my mother's side of the family, they all appreciate all the handmade gifts and the time it takes to make them. They all understand what it takes, what goes into making a handmade item. The reason why I say it's a burden is because sometimes I have one sister who is constantly looking through Pinterest, and every now and again I'll get pictures from her like, hey, my your niece would really like this, or hey, can you make me this, or hey, this would be really great. And I'm just like texting back, step away from the computer. I mean, it's flattering that they think that I could make these things without a pattern, but sometimes I can't. So if you have a Knitworthy family, cheers to you. If you don't, cheers to you. That means you get to keep all the knitting and you get to knit or crochet all for yourself. Next up is, I forget who the maker is of this bag. It's from Etsy though. I wish she had put a tag on it somewhere, but it's Carnival, and I love Carnival. This is knitted, the Crossback Sweater by Knititude that I'm making for my niece. It's all put together. I just need to do the sleeves. If I can figure out where the shoulders are. Hold on. There we go. So that's the back. It crisscrosses. And that's the front. I just need her to, before I pick up for the sleeves, I want her to try it on one more time, because I finally got the pieces sewn together and I want to make sure that this is going to fall right. But this should hopefully be done. This should hopefully be done by the next podcast as well, since it's just sleeves. This was her Christmas gift last year. I'm a little late. But it's a pattern she picked out. And like I said, my niece is very knitworthy, so she understands that sometimes gifts don't always get finished on time. Plus she knows that I'm a little spaz and my ADHD kicks in and I just can't work on one project. I wish I could be one of those knitters that can work on one project at a time or one or two projects at a time, but I get bored very easily. So I wound up in Whips land constantly. So next up is another shawl that I'm working on. It's my own design. I was kind of going through my yarns and I came across these 3 yarns and I thought they went really well together. They're getting a little blown out, but they're all kind of purples and they blend together nicely when they're in a shawl. So I haven't gotten to the 3rd one yet. And I'll have to knit this again because I forgot to start writing down the pattern. But it's an asymmetrical shawl, and I started with the lightest on one end and did yarn overs every so many rows. And then I thought it would be nice to blend them. I started with just some striping, and then I went into a little brioche, and then I reversed the brioche, and that's the wrong way. So I started with the lighter color with the brioche, and then the background was the darker color, and then I switched it to the darker color with the lighter in the background, and then went into the darker color. And here I'm doing it, I think it's called the caterpillar stitch. And I haven't decided if I want to do the same transition like I did here with the color striping and the brioche to get into the 3rd color or not. So I have to figure that out, but this is growing nicely. No rush, but I will eventually need some test knitters. So I'm sure I'll announce it here when it's finished and show you guys before I start calling out for test knitters. But if you want to be a test knitter for a shawl, make sure you follow me on Instagram, because that's probably where I'll put out the notice for test knitters. And this is in my lovely bag by, she doesn't have her name on the card. She has a thank you card in here, but no name. Oh, bummer. I'll have to, really? Oh no, it's on the inside of the bag. Little Boats 88. And it's a nice little wire zipper bag. I added the handles myself. Handles you can buy on Amazon. And I just used, I can't think, cross stitch yarn in black to sew them on. And I have another bag like this from this Scrappy Angel. I bought the Aran bag, the fox bag, which is pretty much the same thing, except it's got leather down here and it's brown, and I bought brown handles. I still have to sew them on. And then lastly, we have my huge Naughty knitting sack. I just love this. This has become one of my favorite size bags. I managed to jump on the bandwagon of the half and half wrap. I did start it on the recommended needle size, size 3. But I felt the fabric was a little too dense, so I went up to a size 5. And I'm using my signature needles. And I'm almost done with the first half. I've just got these many stitches to go, but I'm afraid I might be playing yarn chicken. I didn't think of that. But I did find someone on Ravelry who had about half a skein of dark iris left over. So I contacted her to see if she's willing to sell that to me. But I think this is going to be a big, lovely wrap. And then the coordinating color is called Purple Smoke. So it's those two together. And I'm not worried about running out of this yarn because I do have a slightly lighter color of purple in the same linen quill, because I was going to do stripes on the other side. Not like the striped one that they've just put out, but I was thinking of doing maybe 1 or 2 thicker stripes in another color. But I'm very surprised by this yarn. I really like it. It feels rustic but soft, and I'm guessing that's because of the alpaca that's in it. Because normally I can't do Peruvian Highland wool, and even though this is 50% fine Highland, it's fine Highland wool, it's not scratchy at all. I'm actually considering making a top out of this maybe. So this is my half and half wrap, and this is wonderful TV knitting because it's just knit, 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 turn, German short row, knit, 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 knit. So very, very mindless, very soothing. I really enjoy garter stitch projects. I find, for me, they are just very soothing. I think it's just the rhythm of it. It calms me. I really feel like my heart rate goes down. So I enjoy garter stitch projects. And that is the end of my whips. So, it was just a few. I do have 2 other whips, but they are on the loom. So hopefully they are warped up, and that's as far as I've gotten. But I do want to start. Usually in the summertime, I do a lot of weaving because I don't have the heavy weight of material in my lap that heats me up. But like I said, heat exhaustion is a real thing. Of course, it probably doesn't help that I'm postmenopausal as well, so I think my whole body is all out of whack right now. But I have a few things that I need to cast on at some point. I am getting ready for the Stephen West MCal, and I have two of my colors. I have my two main colors. I've decided to use yarn that I have dyed up. So I've got 2 skeins of this dark purple and 2 skeins of this peachy orange. And I'm thinking I might dye a skein of like a medium, maybe a medium silver gray with specks of hot pink. What do you guys think? You think that would work? I had started to use this for another project, but it was not working out. But I love these two colors together. I don't know why, because I'm not really a peachy orange person. It's a little blown out, the orange there, but I love these two together. So anywho, that is definitely going to be my MCal to cast on in October. I am also looking forward to starting a melting marl shawl by Stephen West. And I went through all of my leftovers and I pulled out everything that had like pinks and purples in it. And I've got it all in this bag, and looks like I have enough to make a shawl, maybe a shawl and a half, but you never know. It could be one of those Stephen West blankets. But I figure one day I'll lay them all out and I'll decide whether I'm going to go from pinks to purples or just lights to darks. I'm thinking I might go lights to darks. What do you think? Or should I go from pink to purple? I'm thinking I have a good mix of lights and darks, so I might go lights and darks. I don't know. I definitely have a good range of colors and a good, what am I trying to say? Like little skeins and big skeins. So it'll be easy, like when one skein runs out, to add another one at different spots so that you're not changing 2 colors at one time. So I am looking forward to that. Then I am hoping or planning to make this top for my mother for her Christmas gift. This is the Air Dance. What I really liked about this top, let me see if I can find a better picture of it, is this beautiful back pattern. And then all the front is like this as well. There's like little tiny eyelets. They don't have the best picture for the front, but it's made with a sport weight yarn, right? I hope so. Yes, a sport weight yarn. They used a merino silk cashmere. I have a merino and cotton blend that I have in my stash, and I made a swatch. This is definitely my mother's color, and I was thinking the cotton would be nice since she does, she's a Florida snowbird, so this is something she'll be able to wear in Florida, and she'll be able to wear in New York inside. I think she's still going through her postmenopausal phase because she still has her hot flashes sometimes. But I like the gauge of this. I think this was done on a 6. The pattern calls for a 5, so I'm gonna have to try another one with a 5, but I have plenty of this yarn. It is from Webb's. It's their brand. It's Hunt Valley Granville. So it's a 90% peanut cotton, 10% merino wool. Has anybody knit with this? I've never knit with this before. If you've knit with this and you like it or don't like it, let me know in the comments below, because I've never made a garment out of this. So I'm hoping it'll be nice for my mom, because it's definitely it's a raspberry color. It's called crushed velvet, but it's a raspberry color, and this is definitely like the perfect color for my mom. So I'm hoping that will work out. And I'm looking forward to casting this on. It's made by, the designer is Irina Anakiba. I hope I said that right. And this is linked, this is a Ravelry pattern that I purchased. So that will be cast on soon. And then my two little nieces, they live up in New York. My sister has requested that I make them pillows for Christmas. The younger one, she's 6 now. She actually asked me, when she saw the pillows that I made for my sister's couch, she actually asked me if I would make her a pillow. So my sister found a pattern, or found a design that she liked, or sent me like a picture. She wanted all flowers on it, and then she wanted not necessarily a bolster pillow, but something like a bolster pillow for my older niece that she could lean against, because they have a little reading bench in their window in their bedroom. So I'm thinking this is my little designing sketch pad that I use for some of my weaving when I'm planning out dishcloths or scarves and stuff. So I was planning out her pillow. So I'm thinking of, I haven't decided if I'm going to make a square or a round pillow, but I'm thinking I might go with round pillow with flowers all over it. And then the older one, we're thinking of going with a bolster style pillow, and I'm thinking of doing chevrons. And of course these will be in acrylics. And then my sister, thinking I might make her, she wanted a bag that she had found, of course, on like a Russian Pinterest site, so we can't read any of the writing, but it looks like it was made with that like papery plastic raffia material, and I'm not quite sure. I found some on Etsy, but it's coming from another country, so I'm like hesitant. I wanted to buy like one cone of it to try it out, but with shipping and stuff, I'm like, well, do I take the chance and buy all that I would need without knowing how much I need? Because it's all, the one she wanted, it's all like granny squares, and so she wanted like a creamy camel-y color in the middle, and then it's all connected with a black yarn. So I don't know how much I will need, and then I don't know how big the squares are going to be, how much yarn I'm going to need, and then I don't know how to line it. So she's the sewer in the family. She got that from my mother. My mother is a phenomenal seamstress. She actually has her degree in it from Italy, and you could make a rough sketch of a dress or an outfit, and my mom can make it for you. She actually made my wedding dress from scratch. She's amazing. And her older sister is just the same. She worked, my aunt worked in a bridal shop for years doing adjustments and stuff. So they're the sewer. So even if I do the outside of the bag, she and my mom can line the inside of it and get it to where she wants it. But I don't know. I don't know if I should go ahead and order all the yarn and cross my fingers that it's the right raffia and it's not like the straw kind of raffia that you put in a box to make sure something doesn't break. I don't know. I'm still like going back and forth on that one. But anyway, so those are my future cast-ons. Now we will get to my acquisitions. And I have just a few. So the first thing I'm going to share is I did purchase, ChiaoGoo came out with some swivel cords. So I went ahead and bought some of those from my ChiaoGoo interchangeables. And then I saw this bag on Etsy. And she was all sold out at the time. But I sent her a message and I asked her if she was going to be getting any more of the material in. If I could find this material, I would make myself another bag with it, because I am a Doctor Who fan and this just cracks me up. Any Doctor Who fans out there? Do you remember the Exterminator? Well, here's the Exterminate. Rule 21, don't blink. And it's cute that she's got the measuring tape going all the way around. It's a nice big bag. And then what's nice is it also has a top that comes up. Ugh. And it cinches closed. Or you can fold it in. And it's got nice handles on it. So this was from, does she have her name on here? She does not. Yes, she does. Can I read that? I might need my glasses to read that. Where are my glasses? Getting old sucks. The Weird Sisters. So they're on Etsy. I'll put a link to them below, but they've got some cute project bags. And that's the one I bought, because I love Doctor Who. And then in addition, I bought a couple of stickers that I could put on my water bottle. I thought this was cute. Knit like Mrs. Weasley. And then, of course, all of us in our yarn stash. My precious. And then I got Knitting Takes Balls. An Exterminate. So I'm guessing she must have created the design for the fabric as well, which is probably why I can't find it anywhere. Because I would love to make a friend of mine a little small sock bag, because she's a Doctor Who fan too. And then she had, which I don't know how she managed to get, because I thought these were copyrighted, but they're the tarot cards for the crocheter, the knitter, the weaver. And I figured, what the heck, it's probably going to happen one day. The spinner. And if not, I'll give that to my friend Melissa, because she's a spinner. And so all of those were from the Weird Sisters, and I'll link their shop below. Next up, I got my Row 1 minis. This is a subscription where you can get minis sent to you, and what's neat about this company is they take indie dyers from all over the place, and you get sent 10 gram minis, and you get introduced to a new dyer. So you get a little package like this, and in here you usually get a note. Usually there's some sort of sweet treat, and these are, ooh, coffee ones. Yep, those won't last long. You'll get a stitch marker that usually somehow connects to the dyer. So this one's a little sewing machine, so this should be interesting. And then this month's dyer is So Happy Jane. Is that right? So Happy Jane. So there I go, the sewing. And they give you a nice little letter explaining the dyer, or introducing you to the dyer. It lists the color, the names of the colors. And what's really nice is that these are all pre-wound up and ready to go. They're ready. You could knit right from these. But look at these colors. Really like that one. That pink is pretty too. And I like that spearminty and that little lilac-y. So, and if you get, so you get one bag, it's 10 gram minis, so you're getting 100 grams. It's $40 a month. You can get two, and if you get two subscriptions, I'm told you will get two different bags of yarn. So you will not get the same, you will not get two of the same colors. So your other bag will be 10 different colors, which is nice. And it's just nice seeing all the different dyers that are out there. I never knew there were so many, but this is a cute way to get introduced to different dyers, and then you can go look them up and see what else they have. And then I caught the Pearl Soho sale. I think it was 25% off all of their yarns. And so I did a little shopping. Just a little. I bought 2 skeins of their line weight. And I thought those would be pretty in a shawl together. This is Red Plum and Dove Gray. I thought those would be pretty together. And then I really wanted to try their linen. And these 2 colors were on sale. And it was Red Onion and Raven Black. I thought I'd make a nice summer shawl with that, summer spring. I've never worked with linen before, but we'll see. And then I found their Broom, B-R-U-M-E. It's 58% mohair, 25% silk, and I can't read either, apparently. 58% mohair, 25% wool, 17% silk, and this is amethyst purple. And I thought this would be really nice to put together with maybe a black fingering weight. Make that purple really pop. And then I'm not usually a green person, but this green really struck me. It's Lucky Green. It's their Tussac Silk, which is their 60% mohair, 40% silk. So it's the same as the cerulean blue that I'm using, cerulean sea blue that I'm using in my aunt's shawl. And then I bought a sweater's worth of Santalina, which is an organically grown cotton, 70% and 20% rayon bamboo and 10% hemp, in the color Purple Moor. And I thought this would make a nice summer tee of some sort. So it feels nice. Should hopefully be nice and cool. And so that was my Pearl Soho purchase. I am waiting for their linen quill to go on sale again. I know it had one time when I purchased this for the half and half wrap, it was on sale for 30% off, and it was like 13 something a skein. So I'm waiting for another one of those sales to buy a sweater's worth and possibly another half and half wrap. We'll see. But I did go to the Tuft Woolen site, and I bought myself a sock soap. They were all out of lavender, so I thought I would try their lavender apple scent. And then I bought myself some lotion, or hand lotion in lavender and unscented. I have to be very careful with scents because they can trigger my migraines. I know as long as they're using essential oils, lavender is a good one for me. And then I'm trying their lip balm, which is in a pink grapefruit, because I just love pink grapefruits. And then I did a little splurging. I did a little splurging. 2 years ago, my girlfriends got together and went in and bought me a Lick set of driftwood needles, and I really like them. I like them very much, but I saw that Lick had new needles coming out, and they're copper. So I bought the copper set. Now, we have all heard how copper has, you know, some sort of medicinal properties. I have no idea if that's true or not, but I do love the way copper patinas, so I'm looking forward to trying these, and I'll let you guys know. So the set comes from size 3 to 15. I kind of wish it was just a half set, like maybe 3 to 8 or 3 to 9. I don't do a whole lot with the bigger needles, but it was a good price. Somebody had them on sale at Etsy. I'll have to, I'll link them down below, but I haven't seen that price since. And they come with, I believe all of their cords are swivel cords. And they come with the keys to tighten them up, and they come with extensions, so if you need a longer cord you could do that. But I went ahead because I'm thinking of possibly starting a blanket, and I bought a 47-inch cord, so that would give me, I bought the 5-inch needles, so that would give me a 57-inch span for that. So, and the case is nice. It's got a spot. It's got a spot to put all the needles here. It's got a little, I'm not sure what this is. Oh, I guess you could take this out if you needed to. Or you could put something back here. I'm not sure why that's there. But it's got a nice little bag down, a pouch down here that holds all the cords. And then it's also got a zipper pouch over here, and it's got, everything is in the copper as well, which is nice. And it comes either in black or like a cognac brown faux suede holder, I guess you would call this. So I like it. I'm looking forward to trying this set out. I will let you guys know how I like them. And then the last thing I'm going to share with you guys actually came as a surprise to me. I got this package and I couldn't figure out why I got it. It came from Germany, and it lists on the you know, the international stuff that there's merino wool in here, a hand sewn item, and a wax candle, and it's from Little, I'm gonna I want to say Little Bitches Stitches, but it's Bishes, B-I-S-H-E-S Stitches. I have no memory of ordering this. So then I thought maybe somebody sent it to me, but no, I ordered it. Stop laughing, Ellen. So I know my friends are laughing at me right now because I have the memory in the bunch. I'm sure I've joked about this before. My friend Ellen calls me her memory. As long as we are together, I seem to remember everything for myself and for her. Isn't it funny how memory works? I can tell you, I can pick up almost any skein in my stash and tell you where I bought it, maybe even how long ago I bought it. And if I was with my friends, I can do the same for their stash. But I couldn't tell you a kid's name that I had in, you know, that worked on a project with me last year. I can recognize their faces, but don't ask me their names. I wouldn't know their names. So the fact that I do not remember ordering this at all is scary. So I'm going to be opening it with you guys. So it's very nicely packaged. So I'm guessing it must have been some monthly club or some club package. And everything is in German, so I can't even I can't even read it. So Jabak, I think that's Jabak. Okay, so that's the soy candle. And it's all in German, so I have no idea what scent this is. I'm afraid. Oh. It smells definitely a holiday scent. A spicy holiday scent. Does anybody speak German out there or read German? Can anybody tell me what that says? Because I don't speak German, but it smells good. Let's see. Nope, yep, that's in German too. Okay. I honestly don't remember going to a German website. Okay, now that I see this, I can totally see why I ordered it. She Belongs to the Night. Anne Rice Yarn Club. March, the Vampire Lestat. Strong women are absolutely unpredictable. So that must be the bag that it was supposed to come in. So it must be a 1 month club because I have not gotten anything else. So let's see what's in this bag. Oops. So I get a tea, a bag of Rise and Shine Infusion. Never tried this tea before, so that'll be interesting. There's a little gift bag in here. Kath's Eye Catcher. So this must be a vendor that she maybe went into, or doing this thing together. Ooh. Oh, ooh, ooh. This is gorgeous. So this is a stitch marker or a project keeper. That is beautiful. Put that back together before I lose it, because I'm also known for losing things. When I was little, I was constantly losing my earrings. Drove my mother nuts because I could only wear gold earrings. Oh, and I got a project bag, hand-dyed yarn, Little Bisha Stitches. So that's a nice size drawstring bag. Oh, and it's got a little pocket on the inside. So that's nice. And then the yarn. Oh my God, that's beautiful. Hand-dyed yarn by Little Bisha Stitches. This is, oh Lord, I need my glasses again. Tiny, tiny typing. I still can't read it. So the colorway is Incredible Women. She Belongs to the Night, Anne Rice Club. 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, 437 yards. Wow, that is beautiful. Oh my gosh. Ooh, what am I going to do with these? Too pretty to be socks. And so that is it. There's something about recycled light, and it's pretty much all in German, so I can't help you there. And yep, their insert is all in German as well, but so I'm not sure how I found them. But now that I know it was an Anne Rice Club, I'm not surprised that I bought it. Totally sounds like me. Can't wait to start burning that candle. And that is it for my acquisitions. I did get this cute question starter game from a friend. It's called Table Topics, and I'm actually buying another set of this for school for the kids because I thought it was fun. But this one is Inspiring Women, and it says courageous, strong, intelligent, compassionate, and most of all inspirational. This edition features a collection of amazing women whose contributions inspired us and are sure to inspire you too. We've paired their stories and quotes with our conversation starter questions to create the perfect combination of topics for your next get-together. So there are 135 questions in here. And I thought it would kind of be a neat way for us to get to know each other. So I'm going to pick the first card and I'm going to read it. So apparently on the front it has information on a woman, and on the back it has the question. And so our first person is, oh, I'm so happy to see this, Zora Neale Hurston. She was an African-American anthropologist and folklorist at the center of the 1930s literary movement known as the Harlem Renaissance. Her book, The Eyes Are Watching God, 1937, is considered a pivotal work of African-American literature. Zora's quote is, she had an inside and an outside now, and suddenly she knew how not to mix them. Interesting. So the question is, would you rather read the book or see the movie? For me personally, I always prefer reading the book first. I will eventually go see the movie, but I will always read the book first because I have found in all the books that have been turned into movies, I always like the books better. And the books always give more detail and background than the movies do. I want to say in all the book adaptations that were turned into movies, the one that I saw that was the closest to the book was Silence of the Lambs. Now, years ago, back in high school, I used to work in a movie theater. I worked in a theater, in my little hometown theater. And so we used to get to watch the movies and stuff. And then that closed down and a big multiplex got built. And so I worked there for years. And we used to have some previews that like local radio stations would do, and they would give out some merchandise. And one of the previews that we had was The Silence of the Lambs. And some of the material that they were giving out that night to us was a book, was the book, I should say. So of course, being an usher, I did not go into that theater at all that night. I wanted to make sure, I wanted to read the book first. One, I love horror stories to begin with. I love horror movies. But I love horror books. And so I went home that night and I started reading the book. And I got so into the book. I mean, I was just like, I don't even have a book here but I mean, I was so into that book and I was awake all night. I mean, I couldn't put the book down. But the funny part of that story is I had a phone in my room. It was my own line, but I had a phone in my room that I had installed, and I was reading the book, and I was at one of the intense parts in the book, and all of a sudden my boyfriend at the time called. My book, first of all, the phone ringing scared the bejesus out of me. My phone went flying across the room. And then, you're grabbing for the phone to try and get it before it rings a second time, because I did not want my parents waking up. Even though my bedroom was on the bottom floor, my parents were on the top floor on the other side of the house. I didn't want them. So I pick up the phone. I'm like, hello. And it's like he knew. He's like, you were at a good part in the book, weren't you? I'm like, I can't believe you called me at 3 a.m. And I hung up on him. And then, of course, I picked up the book and finished reading it that night. But so, yes, for me, it would definitely be the book. What about you? Would you prefer to read the book or see the movie? Or do you do both? Which do you do first? Anyway, I thought this would be a neat way for me to get to learn something about you guys. And a way for you guys to learn some different facts about me that aren't just knitting related. So I put that one at the back, and we'll have a new person to learn about next time. I picked up just a regular one for the kids to do. We have we pull out a rolling cart that has a whole bunch of games that the kids can play at lunch, as kind of like I call it the brain break table or cart. It's just, something for the kids to sort of just have a little fun and take a little break from the school day. We do have to be able to roll it into the back, though, because some kids think that they can get a pass when they have a sub and come down to the media center and hang out, and that's not really supposed to happen. So anyway, I don't have anything else to share. I am really hoping that things get better in this country. I know I went on a little bit of a tirade in my last podcast, but we women have got to start standing up for our rights, our bodies, our choice, our health. It is pretty evident that some men have no idea how women's bodies work. The whole baloney about the state should make a decision, and then, and now wants to put in an abortion ban nationwide is a whole bunch of malarkey. So I hope you guys are reading up on your politicians that are in your area, doing background checks on them. I understand a lot of them are scrubbing their websites because they're seeing the backlash to overturning Roe. A lot of them were very, very surprised that when Kansas put that question up on the ballot, that nobody wanted it to be overturned, or they didn't want it banned in their state. So that tells you a lot. Thank you so much. If you have enjoyed this podcast, please give me a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, hit that little bell so you'll get notified for when my next episode comes out. If there is anything you would like me to share, put it in the comments below. Let me know whether you would prefer to read the book or watch the movie. For any book, it doesn't just have to be The Eyes of God, but I think it's always interesting to see what other people enjoy. So happy knitting, happy crocheting, happy yarning of whatever you do. Ciao, ciao. Love you guys. Thank you for sharing your day with me, and I hope to see you soon. Okay? Bye-bye.